Here we are live on The Guardian. I hope that you're having a great day. It has been a good Monday so far. We had a great weekend, and I'm sure enjoyed going to church. And man, our church had pastor appreciation Sunday, and man, they just gave me all kind of gifts and cards, and it was just a good day. Had a gentleman that came for the first time, Mr. Ernest, and he accepted Christ as his personal Savior, and we just had a wonderful day on Sunday. And today I want to talk about, but before I get cranked up, I want to ask you if you have not already subscribed to the channel. I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe, like this video, help us whenever it comes to getting out our conservative message, just like all other social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. They don't like it whenever the conservative message gets out. And so it really helps whenever you subscribe, like, or comment on a video. It helps us get out our message. And so it just helps us here, on The Guardian whenever you do that for us. And so I would ask you, to do that. Today I want to talk about these presidential candidates. Haven't talked a while about that, and it's been a little while since we discussed these presidential candidates. And with Mike Pence just dropping out over the weekend, I wanted to jump in and just talk about these others. And let me just say right from the beginning, I wish that, they would go ahead, all of them would go ahead and just drop out. And this dropping out and endorsing another candidate is ridiculous. I mean, there's only one candidate that's going to be the Republican nominee, and that's going to be Donald Trump. So everyone else needs to just go ahead, drop out of the race, in my opinion. Let's unite behind Donald Trump, and let's kick Joe Biden's tail in 2024. And so, but anyway, let's jump in and talk about these candidates that are left. But before I jump in, I'm going to ask you again, if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that very much. Chris Christie, he needs to go ahead and drop out. There's no way that Chris Christie is going to be the Republican nominee. He is only running for the sole purpose of just being able to attack Donald Trump and people even paying him any attention because he is a presidential candidate. Not that he has a chance at winning, because he doesn't have a chance at winning, but because he is a presidential candidate, people will, pay him somewhat of attention. He'll get on news networks and he'll just get to talk about Donald Trump. And so that's the only reason why he's running. And so, but he's not going to get the Republican, nominee. I wish Christie would go ahead and just drop out. Then you have Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, I believe, is a good man. I believe that Ron DeSantis one day could be the president of the United States. I really do. Ron DeSantis has done a good job, in my opinion, as governor in Florida. I like Governor DeSantis. I do not like him for president right now. I wish that Governor DeSantis would have waited. I wish that he would have just endorsed Trump, waited until 2028. But just like everybody else, this is America. And if you want to run for president, and if you meet the right qualifications, then you can run for president. And obviously, Governor DeSantis meets those qualifications, and so he ran for president. Now, he's not going to be the Republican nominee, in my opinion, but I do think that maybe he could have been a great vice president. Not sure if Trump will pick him now, being the fact that Governor DeSantis ran against him. But moving forward, if Governor DeSantis would have dropped out of the race, endorsed Trump, then I think Governor DeSantis would have a shot in 2028. The more that he stays in the race, the more money that he spends, the more of his political capital that he spends, and the more that people like me are not going to want to support him ever. And so, but I just think it's very important. So I wish Governor DeSantis, like I said, I think he's done a good job as governor there in Florida. I think that, I know a lot of people in Florida love him. They think he's a great governor, and he is. Looking at it from the outside, I think he has been a good governor. And so, but I just wish he would go ahead and drop out of the race and endorse President Trump. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would encourage you to do so. I would appreciate that very much. It helps us. Then you have Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is someone that she was a, she's a former governor. She twice she was a cabinet member. She has a very impressive resume. Now, we don't agree on several key issues, and I think that Nikki Haley is running only for the recognition to try to be Trump's vice president pick. That's just my opinion. I think Nikki Haley's a very smart woman, and so I think that that's why she is running. I think that she knows that she is not going to be the Republican nominee, but I do think that she thinks that she could become the vice president for President Trump. Now, I hope that he doesn't pick her. She would not be my choice at all for vice president or for president. No, obviously, if she gets the Republican nominee, then she would have my support moving into the Republican, as far as being the nominee for the Republican Party. Now, I don't think she's going to get that. I think that Trump's going to be the Republican nominee. Like I said, I think she's running for the sole purpose of being, a vice president, pick. And saying that, I think that Nikki Haley is probably either running for the vice president pick or she's running for 2028. She knows she's not going to win now, but getting her name out there now, I think, is what's helping her. I know she has a lot of support among ladies. I know she has a lot of support among moderates in our party, because of her stance on abortion. And so, but in saying all of that, I wish that Nikki Haley would go ahead and drop out and endorse Trump. If she did drop out and endorse Trump, I think that would help her as far as being, a VP candidate, or it would help her moving into 2028. But I'm not sure she's going to drop out until later on in the race. But anyway, that's just my opinion on Nikki Haley. Like I said, I'll just say this again. I know sometimes I say things several different times. She's not my pick for president or for vice president. And then you have Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, kind of came out of nowhere. A young, good-looking family, billionaire. He's been saying, a lot of the right things. We don't agree on every issue. He is pulling a lot of the younger into the party. I think Vivek, he got into this race. I think all of them know that they're not going to be the Republican nominee. You look at the numbers, you see President Trump's campaign events, and you look at everybody else's. They all know they don't have a chance. But I think that Vivek is running solely to be the vice president of the United States. I think that's why he's running. Now, he's not my pick either for vice president. Maybe on a cabinet member somewhere, but not for vice president either. He's not my pick. Just the more that I look into his background, the more that I study Vivek Ramaswamy, the more that I just have question marks is all that I have. And so he's not my pick. But as far as, candidates that are running, I think he's done a good job at running for president. I think he's had a message that has resonated with younger people. I do think that. I think that, he's spending a lot of his own money. And so, but once again, I wish he would go ahead and drop out as well and endorse President Trump, because I think it's time that we unite behind one moving forward. It would save us a lot of time, save us a lot of money, save us a lot of energy. And let's go ahead and just get to Trump and let's go beat Joe Biden. Then you have Tim Scott. Now, Tim Scott, I think, is a good man. I've met Tim Scott more than once. I've been in a prayer meeting with Tim Scott. I've been around Senator Scott quite often. I think he's a good man. I think he morally, just from what I know, I think he's a good man. When it comes to a lot of his policy, I agree with him on a lot of his policy. I think he's a good man. Tim Scott, I would like to see. Now, he's not my number one, and I'm going to tell you before we're done, my number one pick for vice president for Trump. But Tim Scott would be in the talk, for vice president, for Donald Trump. Not because the color of his skin. That irritates me whenever people say, well, Trump needs to pick a woman, for vice president, so we could combat Kamala Harris and we can get the woman vote. Or Trump needs to pick a person, that is black, so we can get the minority vote. No, Trump needs to pick the best qualified candidate, to be the vice president. I'm not one of these guys that, we need to pick somebody just because of the color of their skin, or we don't pick somebody because of the color of their skin. I am for picking the right person, the right man, or the right lady for the job. And 100%, that's where I'm at. And so, but in saying that, I do think Tim Scott would be a good vice president. I think that he would make a great VP choice. And so he's not my number one choice, but I do think he would make a great VP. I like him better than the others that I've named so far. I like him better than Mike Pence. I like him better than Chris Christie, obviously. I like him better than Haley. I like him better than Vivek. And I like him better than DeSantis. I would prefer DeSantis president, in 2028 is what I really would prefer with him. Mike Pence already dropped out. And so I'm glad that Mike Pence already dropped out. And I think he saw the writing on the wall finally. I think he gave it a shot. I'm not one of these guys that think Mike Pence is some evil man. I like Mike Pence. I think he made a bad decision. But when it comes to being vice president, I don't know of another more loyal man than Vice President Mike Pence when it comes to being loyal to Trump. Now, at the end, I don't like necessarily how things unfolded, but I do think that Mike Pence made the choice that he thought. I don't think he was pressured. I think he made the choice that he thought was the right choice. That's what I think about Mike Pence. Now, do I think that Mike Pence is going to be the Republican nominee? Obviously not for 2024, and I don't think he ever will be. I don't think he'll ever be the nominee for president ever in his life. I don't think it'll happen. And so, but I am glad that he dropped out finally. That helps. And let's try to get those that were with Mike Pence to coalesce around, Donald Trump. So the person that I would like to see, for vice president is, some people, I don't know if you like her or not, but I think she's great. And that is Kristi Noem, Governor Kristi Noem. I think she would make a great vice president. And so that is my pick, for vice president, at least today. Now, you might could tell me someone, and that could be, a good vice president pick, and I could change my mind. But at the end of the day, right now, as of right now, it's Kristi Noem, number one. I would love to see her vice president. I could deal with the Tim Scott vice president. I think he would do a good job as vice president, and there's a few others. But I don't want to get into all that right now. I just wanted to talk about these few, presidential candidates that I wish would go ahead and drop out. Chris Christie, please drop out. Please get out of the race. You don't stand a chance for a presidential nominee or vice president. You're just up there, you look like a mean, old, angry man, who's just up there running his mouth. DeSantis, I like DeSantis. I think he's a great governor. 2028, I think you need to run for president. Not right now. I don't think you have a path to victory unless Donald Trump were to something happen with his health. But even then, I still don't think DeSantis would get that Republican nominee. I think Nikki Haley would over DeSantis. And so Nikki Haley, I wish she would go ahead and drop out as well. But anyway, that's kind of my where I'm at right now on the Republican, nominees and these Republican candidates. Let's get all of them, to drop out. Sorry about that. Let's get all of them to drop out, and let's support Donald Trump, and let's go beat Joe Biden. And let me just say this, because I'm hearing so much of this talk, that we just got to be careful. People, still saying, well, I'm not going to vote because they stole the last election. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, your vote counts. Your vote does count. We cannot just stay at home and not vote. And I hear so many people talking and saying, well, we're not going to vote because our vote doesn't count. Your vote counts. We've got an election coming up in Mississippi. And some people are saying, well, I'm just not going to vote because one, I don't like the governor. Well, that's not a good reason not to go vote. I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count. Well, here in Mississippi, your vote counts. And so, you need to go vote. It's important that you go vote. And so, but man, we cannot just stay at home. We cannot, as Christians and as conservatives, we owe it. We owe it to those who died for our rights, who gave up so much time and effort so that we could have the opportunity to be able to vote. And so I just want you to understand that your vote does absolutely count. And so let's get out and vote in November for governor, and then let's get out and vote in 2024 and beat Joe Biden. And so once again, thank you guys for joining us, joining me here on The Guardian. If you haven't already subscribed, and please subscribe and to the channel. I would appreciate that very much. And but here we are on The Guardian talking about politics and all kind of things. And I pray that you guys, will have I pray that you have a great day. And God bless you. And God bless the great United States of America.